This is the most expensive bike we've ever ridden here on our test track. It's also the one with the biggest engine capacity we've ever taken out here. How fast was it? The answer's in this video. Well, thanks to the taxes in Austria, we're looking at roughly 60,000 euros that I'd have to pay if I crashed this bike here. Which I didn't, of course, because naturally it isn't insured for racing purposes. But it survived, and I enjoyed it. Mate, that was brilliant. That was something properly unreasonable, taking the Harley CVO Road Glide around this HOTLAP test track. And I'm sure that people who go for a CVO don't just buy it to show off, but also because deep down inside, they're simply unreasonable people who like to do something stupid every now and then. The sort of thing where your mum or your wife or your husband then says, mate, how daft were you to mess about like that? These are the kind of people who keep on doing silly things. And I've just done something silly with it as well, because of course this voluminous cruiser in the form of the Road Glide, which is a sportier derivative of that breed, does reach its lean angle limits here. That's because on our test track, we've got some really tight hairpins at the start. And those tight hairpins also feel a bit like narrow alpine passes to me. And that's where the CVO Road Glide has to show what it's capable of. So what are its strengths here? Its strengths are clearly that mighty torque, which it can put down reliably from way down low in the revs. Thanks to the long wheelbase and the heavy weight, you get out of the hairpins quickly with this bike, even if you're not the biggest expert. Doesn't matter whether it's when pulling away, or in the tight corners after bends, or in the acceleration zones. I think you can use this massive output, this torque from the engine, without really having to fiddle much with the clutch. You just let the clutch out, then twist the throttle, just throttle on, and it sends the horses straight to the rear wheel, and the whole thing surges forward. And that high level of stability in the acceleration zones gives you the confidence to make full use of it. And it's the same in the braking zones. Don't underestimate it. There are mighty Brembo brakes fitted. You've got massive brake discs, so the thing slows down properly in a way that works in real life. And the way we've just been riding, I mean, she's still crackling a bit. I did push her hard, but on our 1000 PS HOTLAP course, I'm only allowed 10 laps to warm up before showing what the machine's got. And those 10 laps, the braking system handled with no problem at all. And there were some properly solid braking maneuvers in there. The bike stayed stable, it stayed precise, and the electronic rider aids didn't start flashing all the warning lights straight away. It was still in a state where the CVO Road Glide feels right at home, I'd say. So this is a bike where, well, I'd consider myself an above-average rider now, and I think even ambitious above-average riders on mountain passes will have a blast with it, will open it up, and will be able to let themselves be a bit unreasonable. All, of course, within the limits of its lean angle. Still, it's an unbelievably expensive bike, and you really don't want to scrape its beautiful metal parts here. Honestly, I do get real anxiety in the saddle, or even a bit of shame, that I might have scuffed this noble altar of engineering. But sometimes, well, I misjudged it, and unfortunately I did let the machine touch down. Of course, for a cruiser, it's like this. The bike has rather limited lean angle clearance, so good lean angle clearance. But for a touring bike, when you compare it with other tourers like the Pan America, you naturally have even more lean angle clearance there. All of that, though, is at a level where if you're looking across several motorbike categories, you say, okay, a Harley Davidson Touring, it's from the touring tribe, it's up for it. You can ride tight hairpins with it and you can really have proper riding fun with it. What I've now got very, very right, and they've already got a lot of experience with, is this balance, because it's by no means a given that a bike in this weight class, in such an extreme riding state, still has this wonderful handling. And that's something they've nailed. Even when you brake hard, when you get on the throttle generously and harshly, the bike holds its line, you can turn in nicely, accelerate nicely. So that's something where they've made lovely steps forward over the last model generations, so you can really hustle the bike dynamically. We're also going to do a tune-up on the bike, stick in a different suspension, and then Martin Bauer will take it to the racetrack, very much in the spirit of the current Bagger Racing series that will run next year alongside MotoGP. Though, of course, there's no sound system fitted there like on mine here or on ours here. Nevertheless, you get off it with a smile on your face. And that's something that isn't the case with many bikes here, above all with other cruisers and other very, very touring-oriented motorbikes. But here I got off with a smile. The cameraman smiled as well. It's brilliant. Gloriously unreasonable. The chrome gleams, the engine roars, and you're grinning in the saddle thinking, mate, how awesome is this? That's probably what defines it. What's there to criticize? Well, this lean angle topic is a matter of fact, and you have to criticize that the chrome parts need an unbelievable amount of love. Just the pollen that had been lying on it earlier, you have to polish and clean and fuss over it, and I don't know what else. Yes, but Harley-Davidson owners will certainly know that after every ride, you shouldn't ride in the rain anyway, because you'll be cleaning yourself silly. And now with this paint option here in the CVO edition, you really need ages to clean it. You need a certain amount of love for motorbikes, and that's what such a bike demands, and that has to be clear to you. A superficial once-over won't do it all, and a quick blast with the pressure washer won't do either. It's a high-maintenance effort to keep it looking as desirable as it does here. And there's also a bit in the tight hairpins, I'm trying to show it, and that's now a bit of criticism of this bulky front end. I love the voluminous front. I also prefer it to the Street Glide, the Road Glide, but in the really tight hairpins, it does feel a bit more cumbersome. And in terms of lines of sight, you feel a bit blocked. So this broad, hefty front end is somewhat claustrophobic in the really, really tight hairpins. I wouldn't have it any other way. I think it's great. I think it's beautiful. It also offers astronomically good wind protection. But here in this use case with tight hairpins, maybe in the Alps as well, yes, that's a limit of this bike. And otherwise, well, we could moan about the price again, but I've been doing that here for 10 years when I look at the CVOs, or I think for 20, and you're probably sick of hearing it anyway. In that sense, dear Harley-Davidson Road Glide customers, how are you doing? Post below about your experiences in the saddle. Can you relate to what I've said here, or did I lay it on a bit thick in places? Be brutally honest below for the 1000 PS community. Thanks, bye, and see you next time.